This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. I caught this review of this podcast recently. Maybe it was on iTunes. I'm not sure. And actually, if you do appreciate this podcast, feel free to get on iTunes and give me a review. But this person said something to the effect that I had too big of an ego, too whatever, a TV voice. And I just think, man, what causes people to be so small, so petty, so worthless? Complete side tangent to start the podcast. And trust me, I've got very thick skin. I've been in the public eye for, I think, since 2004. There's no shortage of negative and positive things that you can find said about me. And don't get me wrong, also, I love criticism. Not because I love criticism. I like criticism that makes me better. Someone that truly puts the time in and points out to me, hey, you did this over here. Now look at doing it this way. God, I'll take that all the time. All the time. We should all be like that, right? That's the fun part of life. When you have a coach who actually tells you, hey, that's really interesting what you did, but you can take it a step further. You can go beyond. And apparently there is a certain segment of society, this kind of petty, small, angry group that I must really get under their skin. I'm not sure exactly how and why, but I think it has something to do with the fact that when you have somebody listening and they have a deeply held belief and you give them a better way, you can take it as coaching, or you can go to cognitive dissonance, meaning your whole worldview is now obliterated, which makes you feel small or makes you feel big because now there's a better path. But many of those people that feel small because their worldview has been obliterated, they got to fight. Now it's ego time. They got to save face. They got to get back to looking big. It's crazy. This is the modern world right now. And I think especially during lockdown, this mentality of not having critical thinking, not having the ability to spot hypocrisy has been reinforced. It's now two sides, at least on the political front. But you know, even on my market side, you can see the politics. You can see market professionals very thinly hiding their partisan views, pushing market positions based on the fact that their team likes those positions. It's insanity. Now look, two of the most famous early trend following traders, and as far as I know, they were good friends, or at least close associates, or at least had deep respect for each other, were John W. Henry and Bill Dunn. They had very different politics. Very different. But the cool thing was, what did they use every day to get ahead? They used something that did not require a partisan understanding, did not require an opinion. They were trend-following traders. They were high leverage, high return, trend-following traders who happened to have very different politics. Now that is a really interesting thought in the modern age, because these days, the hatred and division, it's off the hook. It's off the chart. And if you don't have enough experience to understand how things really work, if you don't have enough experience to understand the theater on display, you're probably just going to retreat to your team. I had a nice conversation on here recently with a Harvard professor. We had different views, but we were both willing to be open to the subject of capitalism. I mean, we both were capitalists, but we had different perspectives on some angles, and we had common perspectives on other angles. And she clearly had very high emotional intelligence and was not threatened by an alternative position. Now, I also recently had on this podcast a Columbia professor, and he was threatened by an alternative position. He was on a team, and he could not get off that team. That team was his identity. That team was his life. And if he even opened up a conversation that questioned the team, well, probably the team would throw his ass off. Again, this is how the world works today, unfortunately. But I like that John Henry, Bill Dunn way. Two guys, different politics, and they come to the same realization that this trading system, this trend-following system, is damn good for both of them. And then they can have their own partisan views on how they think the world can get better. One says less government, one says more government. Okay, that's cool. But they had that common foundation. And the common foundation of trend following was more important than the silly partisan stuff. Because ultimately, it is silly partisan stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. From my perspective, if the government is creating massive amounts of new money, which they essentially are, if an economy is closed down, which the economy is essentially closed down globally, these are big issues. I've taken to calling what we are experiencing right now the Great Reset. We had the Great Depression. We had Black Monday in 1987. We had the dot-com crash. We had the Great Recession. This is the Great Reset because this one is changing fundamentally ownership, employment, almost every aspect of life. Whether or not it's self-induced or was self-induced is immaterial now. We've dug ourselves a hole, a damn big hole. But when you're in a hole and you don't know what the hell to do, and you're concerned, you're uncertain, you're scared, and you don't have a plan, well, damn it, that's what I'm here today to give you an understanding, a foundation for how you can navigate the shitstorm that we're living through. You know, so many people I see online, social media, they talk about, give me the action steps, the exact steps to take. Then you'll see people talking about their currency trading system on 1-hour bars. Some guys talking about candlesticks and all kinds of other nonsense and bullshit. Look, here's the first step to trading, investing, making successful life steps. Number one, what markets are you going to trade or invest in? You've got to know what the landscape looks like. Where can you participate? Number two, how much are you going to bet per entry, which is number three? They're kind of tied together, right? 2 is how much are you going to bet? 3 is when are you going to enter? So number 1, what markets are you looking at? Number 2, how much are you going to bet? Number 3, when are you going to enter? Now that gets you into the game. Now I'm talking philosophical here because there can be an assortment of different rules, at least from a trend following perspective, to get you to where I'm talking about. But the first step is philosophy. If you have no philosophy, you're just a guy jerking off, running around with your head cut off like a dead chicken. That's worthless. Getting back to my list, number 4, when do you exit with a loss? And number 5, when do you exit with a gain? Now, any human strategy, any trading strategy, any investing strategy has to have those 5 elements thought through. If you've not thought those through, you're going to fail. And the great thing with trend following is the cue for your decisions is not subjective. It's objective. It's the price data. So if the price is going up, like stocks right now, you don't sit around and bemoan the Fed. Well, you can, I do. But if stocks are going up, you're long. That's it. Now, maybe stocks will, at some point in the near future, have a massive crash. Unexpected. And some one guy will be on the news saying he predicted it. That's just all bullshit. There's always going to be an outlier that gets lucky. The key is strategy. What is your philosophy and what is your strategy? Trend following is both. Trend following is a philosophy and a strategy. But you know, if you talk about something like that, to say trend following is philosophy and strategy, people that think in terms of a tweet or a soundbite, they're not going to get it. They're just going to move on to the next shiny object, whatever that next shiny object is in their field of vision. Unfortunately, too many people have had their minds rewired to go for that dopamine hit, that shiny object, nonstop, 24/7. What I try to do different on this podcast is leave a long-form view of how things really work, to get into the minds of interesting people and find out what we can learn from them. I'm not into following every damn moment, day to day to day, of the political or cultural or sports soap operas that are going on. Now, don't get me wrong. I do pay attention. I do see things. I'm human. But I turn it off. I leave it. I sleep like a baby. And just a side note before I get back into some trend following resources that I want to leave you with. I'm in Asia. We're coming out of lockdown now. It's been a long year. I will have to say, after a couple months of it, you start to get a little wiggy, but I'm pretty introverted, so it's easy enough for me. I just like to work out. And coming out of lockdown and making it to, for the last 3 weeks, one particular yoga class. Now, I know some of you might hear me talking about yoga and think, what the hell is he talking about? Now, I'm a former baseball catcher. I know something about competitive sports. But this yoga class that I'm taking, and her name, the teacher's name, is Thy. I'm telling you what, I walked out of that class yesterday. There wasn't anything dry on my body. I mean, clothes completely soaked through. And she looked at me and she said, "You did not look happy today." And I looked back at her and I said, "What are you talking about? You just killed us." I said, if you weren't a yoga teacher, you could be a prison guard. Prison guard yoga. I've made the challenge many times on this podcast. If you ever want to experience what I'm talking about in essentially 100-degree heat, drop me a line when you're in town. I'll make sure you get tortured. Now back to a little trend following. I want you to take a look at some resources. These are resources that I have on my website, and they're great reads for a time like right now. Now, these are all at trendfollowing.com/ and then the name that I will give you. So, for example, the first resource that I want you to check out is trendfollowing.com/ resources. Nothing to sign up for, nothing under lock and key, simply free PDFs that you can read right now. Go there, do not pass go, and start taking in good information. trendfollowing.com/resources. The second one I want you to check out, which I think will give you a really detailed perspective on trend following philosophy, is /FAQs, my frequently asked questions. The third one I want you to check out, /markets. This page gives you a perspective for how trend following can be applied across so many different markets. Now, if you want examples of where trend following has done well over the years, /charts. If you want to know a little bit more about the philosophical underpinnings of trend following, who wins and who loses, /zero sum. And if you want to know why trend following made a lot of money in March of 2020, a shitload of money, /events. Because it doesn't make a difference what the event is, what decade, what century. When the shit hits the fan, the proverbial shit hits the fan, trend following makes big money during big events, big unexpected black swan events. And last but not least, if you want to look at how trend following performs, /performance, it'll give you some big picture ideas for how a strategy like trend following performs over a very long period of time. Now, I want to leave you with some quotations, some sayings, to really put you into a positive mindset, a positive framework for taking the next step. Because there's a lot of negativity out there, and damn it, it feels a lot better to have a smile on your face and to feel like you just had an aha moment than to be constantly worrying about whether or not the government is going to give you a fucking check. You know what I mean? Because everybody wants to really do something on their own. People don't want to be taken care of. That's bullshit. People want to fight. They want to scrap. They want the feeling of achievement, the feeling of winning that never comes from the government. I had a guest in this podcast recently. He said it clearly. Peter Linneman. He offered, don't ever think that the government cares more about you and your family and your business than you do. It doesn't. And that really does sum up the state of mind that I think we all really want deep down. Some people might be more afraid than others, but the reality is we're individuals, we're human, and we want to do something big in our lives, and government is the enemy. Some of those positive sayings to leave you with on the way out. Protect yourself and grow upright to the sky. That is all. In the pursuit of knowledge, every day something is added. In the pursuit of enlightenment, every day something is dropped. Wasting energy to obtain rare objects only impedes one's growth. I love this one. Flow with whatever may happen and let your mind be free. Stay centered by accepting whatever you're doing. This is the ultimate. But you know, this one's great as well. To have enough of enough is always enough. Sounds like Dr. Seuss or something. I do think Dr. Seuss and perhaps the Stoics were over there stealing from Zen and Buddhism. Now, this one is pure trend following. The flexible are preserved unbroken. The bent become straight. The empty are filled. The exhausted become renewed. That's trend following philosophy. Now, I have one final one, and I want you to think about this one. It's trend following 101. Reduce to gain. Reduce to gain. That is from Lao Tzu, and reduce to gain is cutting your losses and letting your profits run. So right there is the connection. You can see it plain as day. trend following at its philosophical roots is Zen. Zen is trend following. Now, I'm not pushing a religion or anything like that. I don't see Zen sayings as that. But reduced to gain is trend following. Reduced to gain is life. Cut your losses. If something is not working in your life, whether it's a trade, a relationship, a business, a friend, cut them, move on, try something else. There's a lot of other else on this planet. There's a hell of a lot of other people that you can meet and you can get along with and you can find common ground and you can do something positive. You can do something big. I'm very happy on this end to be coming out of a lockdown. And I hope you too, wherever you are, can get outside and get a little sun and get a chance to breathe some fresh air, to hang out with your friends and family, and to make big shit happen. Because what we are living through right now will pass. Survivors, the survivor mindset, it will win. And that's all we can do. Each day, one step in front of the other step, and move forward. And even if we don't want to move forward, it's all moving forward anyways. And if it's all moving forward anyways, what should you do? You should follow the damn trend.
I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.